you want to be assertive, but you can't be aggressive, right? So how do you draw the line between being assertive and being aggressive? And I find that, I reckon, and that's another way of saying, I think.
It's a little bit more quality, and I reckon as well.
Yes. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shemize, and once again I have the lovely Bolude and I. Look, if you haven't watched previous videos where Bolude has been a guest, please go back and watch them. I'll put the links so that you can find them. But yeah, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry. I think our first one was probably like before the first minute, we're both already bawling.
Yeah. The box of tissues hidden.
Yeah, we had to hide a box of tissues just in case. But also, I think another one that we had is when we talked about the things that we love, and miss about being married versus being single. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, go and watch those ones.
Yeah.
And today is going to be another fun one. Fun, but also quite challenging.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have a title for this, but if I were to give it a title, it would probably be something like things women say that undermine their communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep it that way. It sounds serious, but it'll be fun. So, I was doing some research recently and I saw this, and I think I also saw a book that said something about this, but it was talking about the fact that there are things that women often say that make us seem apologetic or make us sound apologetic when we're communicating, as though we haven't earned the right to say what we're saying.
Yeah.
And even if sometimes we want to be assertive, we soften that assertiveness with an apology.
Yeah.
Before we start, by some of the phrases that we use. And even in this intro, I realized that I've used one of the ones that I've used is I think.
Yeah.
I've used it quite a few times.
Yeah.
My mentor told me recently, a lot of times when you speak, you start sharing your thoughts. You prefix that with "for me." And another way to put that is "in my opinion," as though saying, "it's just my opinion, you don't have to agree." And yeah, that got me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even tell her that I was thinking about doing something about that.
Yeah.
But I remember when I first came across that research or like an article or something that talked about the fact that women undermine their communications, I actually started listening to myself and how I'm using some of those filler words to undermine myself in the way that I speak. And it doesn't mean that men don't do this. There's lots of filler words that people use a lot now, but women do this much more than men do.
Yeah.
So I've talked about mine. I think for me, what's yours?
If you don't mind, the word just. Instead of saying like and then going on to have a specific, adding that just, it's I've already put out there that what I want to say or what I'm feeling or what I'm communicating is either my emotions aren't valid or what I'm trying to communicate doesn't have weight or doesn't have importance. Just the word just.
Right. Yeah, and that's such a common one now.
Yeah.
That so many people when you're watching interviews, even the big television interviews, you hear people use just. So a couple that I find that people use a lot, just, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not the only one who uses it.
No.
Just and I think are two filler words that people use a lot. It's now considered part of everyday communication.
Yeah.
Like is one of them.
I was gonna say
right?
That,
That's another one. But do we really need all those words? Like they don't add value to what we're saying. On the contrary, they undermine how we come across.
Yeah.
And I find that for women, it's even more so because one, society tells you there's a certain way you have to be. You want to be assertive, but you can't be aggressive. Right? So how do you draw the line between being assertive and being aggressive? And I find that, I reckon, and that's another way of saying it, I think
it's a little bit more shorty, and I reckon as well.
Yes. Leave that in there. But I was just about to say another one. I was gonna say I believe.
I reckon, I believe, I think.
They're all the same thing.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, that's probably our own way of trying not to sound aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our own way of, I want to be assertive, but people can very easily interpret my assertiveness for aggressiveness.
Yes.
So let me layer it with this, so that it softens the delivery.
Yeah. I'm gonna add a layer on top of that, and I wonder if they did a polling and observed how women of different cultures, how they communicated. Now, I know for me,
yeah, let's call each other out.
Let's call each other out every time we do this to see how many times we both click. When I was on set with the movie that I just I did in October of last year, I found, and this was one of the, it led to a few, not issues, but no, it did. It led to an issue with my co-writer, co-star, really dear sister friend of mine, who I wrote the script with. And she said to me, I just feel like you're not being aggressive enough. I'm having to speak up and say things. And I'm like, there is something to be said for women of color who feel when they do not want to be labeled the angry black woman, that trope of when you speak your mind and when you take out all the I feel, I think, in my own opinion, do you mind? When you take all of that out, it sounds a certain way to the audience, the person that's receiving whatever you're saying. All of a sudden, it's, oh my gosh, she's very hard to deal with, huh? Oh, she's very strong. She's very bossy, or she's rude, and so I tried to explain to my darling sister. I said, look, when you say something, and when you say it with the way, because she's a very strong personality, and she's strong-minded, and she's very brilliant and intelligent woman, it comes off different. And she presents, when you look at her, you see a Caucasian woman, but she's actually Hispanic, half Caucasian. And when Hispanics are feisty, or when they speak them and it's sexy, it's just Latinas, they're very, it's very Sofia Vergara. But when a colored woman, when a black woman or an African American woman says it, she's an angry black woman. We shouldn't have to adjust our way through every dealing and every interaction, and I found myself saying it even with in the industry now when I'm on set. Something that I know that comes with my, with what I'm due, I still find myself going, if you don't mind, do you mind if I, which is, if you don't mind. And I just feel, if it's okay, and that's one of my favorites. Those are my, that's usually in my dictionary right there. All those things I said. I use all those, undermining terminology because I don't want to be labeled something I'm not. I don't want to be seen as difficult. I don't want to be seen as hard to deal with, and the messaging being lost because all they're thinking of, oh my gosh, she's just an angry woman. I've lost my audience. They've not gotten the message, and my communication has just failed.
Okay, so a few others that I read about. Just wondering, again, the just.
Yeah.
Sorry to bother you.
That is me.
Just a thought. Just is definitely recurring here.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, there's this one.
Which one?
Sorry, this is a stupid question.
Oh my. I've used that quite a few times. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ooh. This is gonna make me pay attention to how I communicate.
Because you can remove those filler words and sound confident, intelligent, assertive, and just own the space that you're in, and own the skills and the knowledge that you have, and be proud of who you are and where you are, and you don't have to explain yourself to other people. And of course, if people have known you to be in a certain way, it's going to be hard for them to adapt to this new way of being.
Yeah.
But not your problem. Not your problem. If they have to adjust, then so be it. Because how else are we going to effect change?
Exactly.
If we're not taking those bold steps. We need to be prepared to be seen as however people want to interpret us to be in the space that we're in. And it's not to say you need to go in aggressive, but you need to understand that there's a difference between aggressive and being assertive. And just focus on being assertive. A few years ago, this was probably in and around COVID, I think maybe 2020, 2021. I had a group of friends from church who had come by, and one of the things that we did was we passed cards around to each other, like just blank cards. We passed them around to each other, and we got to write something for each person about what we valued in them.
Oh, nice.
And I remember a friend wrote in my card that she loves how assertive I am.
Do you see yourself as an assertive person?
That was such a gift to me because I'd been working on being assertive.
Oh, nice.
I'd noticed that was something that I needed to work on in my own life, and I was working at it.
Wow.
It was so validating to hear or read someone say that about me without being prompted and saying, I see you are assertive, I admire that.
That's amazing.
And that was a woman telling another woman. So that even raised that validation, just raised that up a notch for me, because it wasn't a woman saying to me, oh, you need to soften up a little bit. But she was saying, I see you are assertive, I love it, keep doing it. I really valued
that's a
that.
gift.
That was such a gift to me. How can we be assertive without being aggressive?
It's funny you just said that, because what came to me just, 7 seconds ago was, maybe if we stop focusing and don't come from, I don't want to be aggressive. Just come from, I'm going to be assertive. Right? I don't know if that's going to work, but I think that will work. I think it'll work, because I liken it to when you go, oh, I just hope I don't fall. And then you kind of fall. Rather than, you know what, I'm just going to walk this path, this line, this thing, and I'm gonna get to do this. And then you do, because you're focusing on your destination and on success and on what you want rather than what you don't want. And that's something I'm constantly doing. I don't want to be, I'll talk to Craig, I'm gonna talk to my agent about this, or I'm gonna talk to production about this. I just don't want to be I don't want to be seen as asking for too much. I don't want to be, I'm already coming with that fear, and so I'm coming from that space. So if I'm putting that out there, I might say something or do something that they may receive as being like that. But if I come from, you know what, this is a need I have, they've hired me and God's given me this opportunity, and I know I'm not being demanding, I'm asking for something that actually is valid. This is what I need to do my job and to do it well. What can we do about, how can I help, what can we do about it? What can you do about it? What can we do about it? But finish. You know what I mean? It's like, if you don't mind, this is my favorite. If you don't mind, if it's possible. When I'm thinking on being very respectful, it's like, no, you're already coming across like, you know what I mean?
Like, this is not important.
Like, I'm sorry that I'm even asking this, and so they're gonna be sorry to get to you, right?
And when you were speaking, there's something that came to my mind about the fact that you're going in from a place of apology. You're already assuming that you're inconveniencing them. But what if by asking, you're actually making their lives easier? Because you're telling them, this is what I need from you, and then they can meet that need more easily.
Very true.
But another side that I thought about is just do it. don't worry about, am I being aggressive or am I being assertive? You know what your heart intent is. Just do it. And you can always debrief and ask questions from trusted people. Ask trusted people questions about how they think that you came across, and just grow from that. So for me, for example, here we go. In my case, moving from that place of being timid to being assertive, there were definitely times that I came off aggressive.
And then you brought it back. You crossed it over,
and then I will just debrief after each encounter. I will debrief and ask myself, what would I do differently? How did I come across? How did that person receive it? And then just grow from that. And I know that sometimes, even now, I'm pretty sure now, there's sometimes that I still come across aggressive rather than being assertive, but I know my heart's intent and I'm willing to keep growing from
there.
That,
we go. That's right? The point. That's
exactly. The point is, let's grow. Let's move from that place of timidity to a place where I don't like this. Just say you don't like it. Don't worry about how it will come across. Recently, I sent a voice note to a friend on WhatsApp. She started sending me these daily messages. Sometimes people send you maybe devotionals, devotionals and stuff. And she started sending that to me at a time when I was going through some struggles. And what the first one that she sent to me spoke directly to where I was at and what was happening. But then over time, she started sending it to me every day. And I started thinking, well, I don't really read this stuff. If you send me devotionals, anyone that sends me to the devotionals on a daily basis on WhatsApp or any other messaging apps, I just mark as read and I just move on. So she sent it over and over again over a period of maybe a couple of weeks. And just last week, I sent her a voice note and I said, feel free to not send me these things on a daily
I love it. Let me invite you to see.
And I told her the truth. Look, if you're sending this to me on a daily basis, I probably won't read them. And the what I see, the risk there is that when you now send me actual messages, valid messages that you want my attention on, I won't read them either. And she was fine with it. She was happy that I gave her that feedback. But she also sent me a message and said, oh, you don't have to apologize. You don't have to be apologetic about it. And I told her, I don't feel apologetic. She said, oh, that's the way that you sounded. So I went back and listened to myself to ask myself, am I sounding apologetic in this message that I sent out to her? And I know that my intent was not to sound apologetic. Of course, I didn't want her to feel that I didn't value what she was saying to me, but I also wanted her to know,
to get the message
without any misunderstanding that I ain't gonna read it. But it was good to get that feedback because that gave me opportunity to go back and listen to myself. And when I heard myself again, I thought, okay, maybe there's a part that sounds a bit apologetic. But that might have been a construct of the environment that I was in when I sent the message, not necessarily that I wanted to come up as apologetic.
Makes sense.
So feel free to, you know what your goal is, just go for it. And then debrief with yourself. And see how you're growing in that area. And if you steer far to the aggressive side, let's dial it down a little bit. Okay. Ultimately, what does the Bible say? The Bible says, "Let our conversations be seasoned with salt." Right? And another way to think about is seasoning our conversations with grace.
With grace,
So in those conversations that you're having, make sure that you have grace as an undertone to everything that you're saying. It's not to tell the other person, this is me, this is how I want things. It's to say, this is me, this is how I want things, this is how I appreciate things. The tone makes all the difference.
The tone makes the difference.
So make sure that your conversation is seasoned with grace. But by all means, stand up for yourself. Be assertive. And get rid of the filler words. They don't add value. They undermine value. They don't add any value.
And it'll take time. It's a process.
For sure.
It's a process. And like you said, you'll mess up. You might come across a little.
You will. I guarantee.
that's okay. It's this. Yeah, you've given me homework. I really need to. If you pay attention, or if you think back on any of our or any message I've left you, I'm sure you'll. Yeah, I invite you to go look at some of my past. You'll be like, this girl.
Yeah, a lot of us do it.
Yeah.
So you're not in that boat alone. I, for one, do it, and there's still a lot of growing there. Yeah. This has been good.
Yeah.
I hope this has challenged you and made you maybe a little bit introspective. And listen to yourself, see how you sound. Make sure that you're not coming off as timid. Make sure you're not coming off aggressive. The goal is to be assertive and own the space that you're in. You have a right to be there. Let your voice be heard. That's so important because you have value. You are more than enough. Thank you so much, and thanks again, Bolude.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank
you, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Ciao.